not an issue that's contingent upon us getting out of the programme on the 15th of December. What concerned me coming out here was that the language that was used on the 29th of June, and as I say again in October that year and December and repeated in March of this year and June of this year, would be included in the conclusions here, and that's clearly in there in paragraph 40 with the exact same wording, with the possibility of direct recapitalisation of banks. Now, when we discussed this on the 29th of June last year, the question obviously of legacy assets and the particular situation that Ireland was in was raised, and that's why Ireland was actually mentioned specifically in that conclusion. And that's also why, at a later time, both the German Chancellor and the French President, Tony, mentioned specifically the particular circumstances of Ireland, and that these circumstances would have to be taken into account. So I'm happy with the outcome of this meeting here, that in these European Council conclusions, this builds on the principle that we already adopted. This could not be concluded in any event until you move through the process of having banking supervision in place and all of that, and the conclusion refers to that being the first step. So that's moving. So this is very much an issue that Ireland will return to.
Was there any discussion of the conditionality that might attach to any precautionary loan programme, and notwithstanding your remarks about the decision being one for the government alone, do you gauge that any of your other counterparts in the summit room would prefer you to accept a precautionary loan programme or seek one, or prefer the government to go it alone, so to speak?
There are different views, to be honest with you, Arthur, different views expressed by different leaders. Clearly we are the first Eurozone country to proceed on the path where we exit a programme. So therefore there isn't any sort of history, if you like, from a Eurozone perspective as to what the best option is. So for us it's a case of taking the best advice, the information that's available to us, the conversations that the Minister for Finance will have with the Troika, that I will have myself in the next number of weeks with leaders again, and we will make our decision. We will make a decision in due course, but we'll make it on the basis on the basis of what we consider are the best options, as I said, being both durable and sustainable. But you don't have to revert back again.
So if there are different views, could you tell us which of the other leaders are in favour of Ireland taking?
Well, I can tell you that there are a range of views. But to be honest with you, when you talk to other leaders, what would you do yourself if you're in this position? You've had 5 tough years and some very difficult choices to make. Our people have taken a hit in so many ways, but now that they can see that all these sacrifices that they've made were part of a process that allows our country to get out of the bailout programme and to move on to a time of growth and greater prosperity. So it's not for me to tell you the views of individual leaders. Many of them are just curious to know how Ireland was actually able to get from a point of 15% interest rates to less than 4 now, and the decisions made by government and people, and it is the people who deserve the credit here, are striking to other leaders. So in that sense, we have a lot of work to do now, a lot of analysis, a lot of discussion before we make our decision. Whether it will be made by us as Ireland, we will retain the respect and the credibility and the support of the European institutions and our European colleagues, and they look forward to Ireland being the first Euro country out of the bailout, which is a big international signal in its own right.
But are some of those countries strongly of the view that there should be a precautionary programme, and are other countries strongly of the view that there should be?
Well, there are a range of views.
How strong are the views?
Some would be clear, some would not be as clear. And others are just curious to see what's going to happen. Yes.
Thank you, Rebecca Christie from Bloomberg. Do you have to make a decision before the end of the year or by December 15th on whether you will pursue a precautionary credit line?
Well, the formal end of the programme is on the 15th of December, so before then we have to consider what is the best thing to do. There are 2 Eurogroup meetings, there will be meetings with the Troika, meetings with individual ministers, and I have to have conversations myself with a number of other leaders. So based on all of that information, we decide what is the best time to make our decision.
So you don't know yet whether you'll try and make a decision at the moment when the programme ends?
Well, the programme ends formally on the 15th of December, and it will be my expectation that we'll make a decision before then.
Okay,
thank you very much. Are you confident that all EU countries will actually support Ireland to get a precautionary credit line?
You know, as I already said to Arthur, there are a range of views about what
No, I
Ireland
understand
should
that,
do
and
here.
that's why I'm asking, I can follow on. Are you confident that if it comes to it, and you do decide to apply, that you will have the support?
I saw some comments
It's
in
around
the
the
recent
table,
past
they
about
will.
what that might mean. I've already said that we've been in a condition-bound situation for the last number of years. What we want to do is exit this with the very best options for our country that are both durable and sustainable. Clearly, you don't want to be in a situation of tighter conditions than you've been in the last period. But I want to make it clear, we have made no decision on this, and we will not make a decision until such time as we assess and assimilate all of the information, having discussed this with those with whom we have to discuss it, the Troika and other leaders, and then make our decision. And we'll make that decision before the 15th of December.
And will that depend on whether you have sufficient support or on the conditions?
Well, you see, we have the support of all our European colleagues and our European institutions, but we have not discussed the question of conditionality or whatever might apply in the case of buffers or otherwise. As I said, we're in a strong position here. Employment's growing, unemployment's reducing. We have very strong credibility in the international markets. The NTMA have done a wonderful job in the last 12 months. Didn't have to go back to the markets. I note Moody's statement again this morning. This puts Ireland in a very strong position, irrespective of whatever decision we make as a country.
Shannon?
So Suzanne as well.
Sure. Okay, thanks. Just I'll follow up to that as well. When you were this was being discussed by different leaders today about Ireland's exit, did the issue of taxation come up? Because I've seen the conclusions that leaders are going to return to this again, tax-related issues in December, and we already know it's an issue for Germany in the discussions at the moment going on in Berlin. So
the return to taxation refers to the digital area. The European Council are setting up their own expert group on this, and that's welcomed in the conclusions. But we've already submitted and are working with the OECD, which is a much broader-based global responsibility and global reach. And we did decide at the European Council earlier this year that the response should be international-based, and Ireland participates in that and will do so fully. But I want to make it clear that in respect of corporation tax rates, that's a matter of national competence, was not discussed and is not the focus of any attention by the European Council.
So it didn't come up today with this?
Certainly not.